Let us now have a glance at the various string manipulation functions that we have in a standard string handling library. Number 1. To manipulate a string, we might be interested in copying one string into other. Is there a function that supports me to copy one string towards another? The answer is yes, and it happens as this. You have its return type as a character. You have a function called strcpy, which takes in two parameters, where the first one happens to be your first string s1 and then another string s2. Now, what does this function attempt to do? It copies the string from s2 into the string s1, and then the value of the string s1 is getting returned. Now, this copies this entire string s2 inside s1. So, it should be made sure that s1 is of size or length which is at least as large as s2. And then, is there any possibility to move only some n characters from the string s2 towards s1? Yes, C has provisions for it. The name of that function is strncpy, where n stands for the n characters that you try to move from the string s2 towards s1. So, how many parameters do I have here? The first two parameters are the same, that is, I do have the first string, I do have the second string, and added to that I need to have the size of the characters that I would like to move from the string number s2 towards s1. That is, it copies at most n characters of string s2 into the string s1, and the value of the string s1 gets returned. So, this is again having another integer, what I do call as the size. This n is the size of characters that I would try to push in from s2 towards s1. This entire function is termed as string ncopy, that is, it copies at most n characters of s2 into s1 and returns the value of s1. Then we are more certain to have two strings to be joined together, that is, we are in a need to concatenate a few strings. C has provisions for having two strings concatenated. How is this possible? It is possible through another function called strcat, which stands for string concatenation, and for this again I have to supply the two strings which are supposed to be concatenated. So, this s1 and s2 are said to be those two strings which are subjected to be concatenated. This appends the string s2 to array s1. The first character of s2 overrides the terminating null character of s1, and the value of s1 gets returned. We know that every string is delimited by a null character. So, when I want to join s1 along with s2, the first character of s2 moves on to replace the null character of s1, and the other characters of s2 follow the first character of s2, ending up with a null character, and then this is placed inside a new string called s1, and the value of s1 is returned. Now, here care should be taken in such a way that there is enough space to hold both those character sizes of s1 and s2 together. Then there might be a need where I would like to concatenate only some n characters of two strings. How is this possible? It is possible if I can have this as strncat. What is the use of it? It appends the at most n characters of string s2 into an array s1. That is, the first character of s2 overrides the terminating null character of s1, and the value of s1 gets returned, and this is done only for the first n characters of s2. So, these are some of your string manipulation functions that we have in a standard string library. Now, if I were ever in a need to compare two different strings, what is that I can do? What is the necessity for comparing? Computer compares numeric ASCII codes of characters inside a string. Imagine I want to compare two different strings. How does this comparison take place? We know every string is a composure of characters. So, every character is an ASCII value or an integer value. So, a computer starts comparing the numeric ASCII codes of characters in the given strings. And appendix D has a list of all character codes. You can refer to any standard books on C which would have an appendix which has an entire list of the corresponding ASCII codes for all possible characters in C programming. Okay, I have characters, I have ASCII codes. Are there functions which can compare two strings with each other? The answer is yes. I have a function called strcmp which has its return type as integer, and that takes in two different strings as parameters. Say for example, if I do have a function int strcmp, I can have a character array s1 and then a character array s2. How does comparison take place here? Here the function compares string s1 to s2. It returns a negative number whenever s1 were less than s2. It returns you a 0 if s1 were equal to s2, and it returns you a positive number if s1 were greater than s2. Say for example, I have passed two strings s1 and s2 into this function. The various relations that can happen between two different strings are either s1 may be lesser than s2. In that case, this entire function will return me a negative number. That is why its return type is of type integer. If both s1 and s2 were equal to each other, then it returns me a value 0. If s1 were to be greater than s2, it returns me a positive number. This is how I compare two different strings. Suddenly a question may arise on the air asking for, is it possible to compare the n characters within strings? Yes, it is possible. Instead of int strcmp, you can have it as strncmp, which compares the first n characters of two different strings s1 and s2 which are supplied as parameters along with the size n, where the first n characters of the two strings are getting compared. The return values are same as your above one, that is, it is a negative number when s1 is less than s2. When s1 and s2 are equal, it is 0, and if s1 is greater than s2, it returns you a positive number. Apart from this, we do have several search functions, and you can also have some memory functions which are of effective study in C programming. Then another simple string handling function which is often used is strlen, which would easily get you the length of the entire string. That is, it takes in as parameter or argument a given character array, say s1. What does it return? It returns you an integer. That is, given a string, it counts the number of characters in this string and returns you the length in terms of integers. So these are the whole host of string handling, manipulation and management functions we have in C.